A bell starts ringing over Rome, and it is ringing wrong. Not the bright, quick peal that calls the city to mass, not the hourly chime you stopped noticing years ago. This is slow, heavy, a single great bell of St. Peter's tolling at long, deliberate intervals, and every cardinal in the city understands what it means before anyone says a word. The Pope is dead. Somewhere in a quiet room, a man who held the highest office in your church has stopped breathing, and the machinery that has run for nearly 2,000 years has just begun to turn. You are one of the men that machinery now belongs to. You are a cardinal, and in the silence after that bell, you already know where the next weeks of your life will be spent. Behind locked doors, under Michelangelo's painted sky, choosing the next successor to Peter. Before anything else happens, one man must make the death official. That is the Camerlengo, the Cardinal Chamberlain, and his first duty is documented in the Apostolic Constitution that governs all of this, Universi Dominici Gregis, promulgated by John Paul II in 1996 and amended by Benedict XVI in 2007 and 2013. The Camerlengo certifies the death in the presence of the master of papal liturgical celebrations and other officials. There is an old story that he taps the dead pope's forehead 3 times with a silver hammer and calls out his baptismal name to be sure, and that image has been repeated so often that many people take it as fact. The historians are blunt about it. The hammer ritual appears in no official text, and today a physician and a death certificate do the work. What is documented is what comes next, and it is stranger than the legend. The Camerlengo takes the ring of the fisherman, the signet ring used to seal papal documents, and it is broken or scored with a file, deliberately ruined so no one can ever forge an act in the dead pope's name. The lead seal for apostolic letters is destroyed the same way. The papal apartments are sealed, often with red ribbon and wax. The reign is over, and the church enters the state it calls sede vacante, the empty seat. For the first time in years, no one is pope. This is the part that surprises people. The power does not pass to the Camerlengo, and it does not pass to anyone. During sede vacante, the entire government of the church falls to the College of Cardinals collectively, and even then it is deliberately starved. They may handle only ordinary, urgent business and are forbidden from making any major decision or changing anything a previous pope established. Almost the whole Roman Curia, the vast bureaucracy that runs the Vatican, resigns the moment the Pope dies. The Cardinal Secretary of State, the prefects of the great departments, they stop. Only 3 keep their offices, the Camerlengo, the Major Penitentiary, and the Papal Almoner. An institution that speaks for more than 1 billion people goes, on purpose, into a kind of suspended animation. Then the mourning begins, and it has a name and a number. The Novendiales, 9 days of funeral rites and masses for the dead Pope. His body is brought to St. Peter's Basilica and laid out, and the faithful come in lines that do not thin for hours. The rules fix the timing tightly. Under the Constitution, the funeral is held between the 4th and 6th day after death. You walk through these days in choir dress, attending the rites, and underneath the grief, something else is already moving. Every cardinal in those pews is also a voter now, and everyone knows it. Between the death and the locked doors come the general congregations. These are the meetings where the cardinals, all of them, even those too old to vote, gather to run the church's urgent affairs and prepare the conclave itself. They set the date. They arrange the destruction of the ring. They read aloud the rules everyone must swear to, and in the corridors outside, in the quiet conversations over coffee, something less formal happens that the church does not pretend away. The cardinals take the measure of one another. Names start to surface. The men called papabile, the ones thought to have a real chance, are discussed in low voices. Here the record and the rumor begin to share a room. What is documented is that these conversations happen, that factions and national blocs and theological camps exist inside the college. What is speculated, endlessly, for centuries, is how much is decided here, before a single ballot is cast. Theories claim that deals are struck, that votes are promised, that some conclaves were settled in these rooms while the Sistine Chapel still stood empty. No verified record proves a prearranged outcome in any modern conclave, and the Church holds that the election unfolds under the guidance of the Holy Spirit, free and unbound. But the conversations are real. You are in some of them. Not everyone gets to vote. The Constitution caps the electors, cardinals under the age of 80 at the moment the see falls vacant. That rule is recent, set by Paul VI in 1970, and it quietly reshapes every conclave because it decides who is even in the room. You are under 80, so you go in. The day the conclave opens, you attend a special mass in the morning, and then you process into the Sistine Chapel in choir dress, walking in order of seniority. Above you is the ceiling, God's hand reaching toward Adam, the prophets, the whole arc of creation in fresco. On the altar wall, Michelangelo's Last Judgment, the saved rising, the damned dragged down, Christ with his arm raised. You take your assigned seat at one of the long tables. In front of you sits a pen and a stack of rectangular ballots, and across the top of each one is printed a single Latin line, Eligo in summum pontificum. I elect as supreme pontiff. Below it, a blank space. Then comes the moment everyone has heard of and few understand. The master of ceremonies calls out two words, extra omnes, everyone out. Every person who is not an elector leaves the chapel. The doors close. This is the heart of the word conclave itself, cum clave, with a key, a practice forced into being in 1274, after one papal election dragged on for nearly 3 years, and the magistrates of Viterbo finally locked the cardinals in and tore the roof off the building to hurry them. Before the doors shut, every elector swears an oath of absolute secrecy. The penalty for breaking it is automatic excommunication. The chapel is swept for listening devices. No phones, no letters, no outside world. Sealed in, you begin to vote, and the procedure is exact. At the start of a session, the junior cardinal deacon draws 9 names by lot. The first 3 become the scrutineers, who count the votes. The next 3 are the infirmarii, who carry a sealed urn to any cardinal too sick to leave his room so that even the dying may vote. The last 3 are the revisers, who check the scrutineer's work. You take a ballot. You write a name in handwriting you deliberately disguise, because the secrecy is meant to be total, even from each other. You fold the ballot twice. One at a time, in order of precedence, the cardinals walk to the altar beneath the Last Judgment. You hold your folded ballot up high, where everyone can see it. Then you speak the oath aloud, in Latin, I call as my witness Christ the Lord, who will be my judge, that my vote is given to the one whom before God I think should be elected. You place the ballot on a plate and tip it into a large urn. Then you return to your seat, and you watch every other man do the same. The scrutineers count. One reads each name aloud while the others record it, and as each ballot is read, it is pierced with a needle through the word eligo and threaded onto a single string, so none can be lost or counted twice. The revisers verify, and there is only one number that matters, 2/3, not a simple majority. 2/3 of the electors must write the same name, a threshold fixed for centuries, precisely so that no pope takes the throne on a thin, divided vote. If no name reaches it, there is no pope, and the ballots are burned in a cast-iron stove. Outside, in St. Peter's Square, thousands of people are staring at a thin metal chimney. The smoke comes out black. Chemicals make it so, potassium perchlorate, anthracene, and sulfur burned with the ballots to darken it past mistaking. The crowd groans and waits. Inside, you do it again. 2 votes in the morning, 2 in the afternoon, day after day. You eat and sleep at the Domus Sanctae Marthae, the guest house, and walk back to the chapel each morning, and nobody sleeps well. This is where the deep theories live, and you can feel why. You watch the count drift. Round after round, the scattered names fall away, and the votes begin to pool toward one man. And the movement feels almost guided. The believers in the room would say, it is exactly that. The speculation goes further, that blocks coordinate between rounds, that a candidate is quietly built or quietly buried over meals, that outside powers have, in past centuries, tried to reach inside. Some of that is documented history. Secular monarchs once openly claimed a veto over papal elections, and the last such veto was used in 1903 before being abolished. What happens in a modern conclave is sealed by an oath no one has credibly broken, so you are left with what you can see, the numbers shifting toward a single name, and with everything you cannot. Then it happens. A name crosses two-thirds. The chapel goes very still. The dean of the College of Cardinals, or whoever presides, walks to the man whose name has won and asks him a question in Latin, and the whole election now rests on one syllable. Do you accept your canonical election as Supreme Pontiff? If he says yes, he is Pope from that instant, full, supreme, immediate authority over the whole Church, with no inauguration required to make it real. Then the second question, by what name do you wish to be called? He chooses, and the choice itself becomes a message to 1 billion people about the kind of Pope he means to be. He is led to a small room off the side of the Sistine Chapel, and its name tells you what tends to happen there, the Room of Tears. 3 white cassocks hang ready, small, medium, large, because no one knows in advance who will need them. He puts on the white. The ballots of that final, successful round are burned, and this time the chemicals are different. Potassium chlorate, lactose or resin, and the smoke that climbs the chimney comes out white. The great bell of St. Peter's, the same kind of bell that began all of this, rings again, and now it is ringing in joy. The crowd in the square erupts. The senior cardinal deacon steps onto the central balcony of St. Peter's Basilica, the loggia, above a sea of people, and says the words the Church has used for centuries. Habemus Papam, we have a pope. Then the new pope himself comes out, and he gives his first blessing to the city and to the world. Urbi et Orbi. You are still inside, in the chapel, watching the man you helped choose walk out to the light. Everything that brought you here was real and documented. The broken ring, the sealed doors, the oath, the two-thirds count, the white smoke. What moved the votes in those last rounds, whether it was the spirit the believers swear by or the quiet arithmetic of men, is the one thing the secrecy will never let you prove. You cast your ballot, you watch the number climb, and now a bell is ringing over Rome again, and the whole world is about to learn the name you already know.